Welcome to the Real Board Loft. We got a special edition with you. We are at Moonlight Glassing here in California with Pat Rawson. Pat, great catching up with you after the boardroom show. We'll do. What are we gonna do? Maybe we'll do one of these.
This one.
We'll do like a COVID fist bump. Maybe one of these. Maybe a little hug in. We're gonna come in for a little family hug. But that's actually that's a great segue because I just want to talk about the family relationship that we've had with you, that I have with you. For as long as we've known you. I've known you for 20, I think we're on 22 years or so now. And,
97, 98.
Yeah, it all started with your son, Ryan,
Right.
coming out to the Outer Banks on a promo trip. And, that's actually was like kind of my first, I had known about you and I known about your shapes, obviously. And, your legendary status, even back then, with what you were doing in Hawaii and like travel boards and stuff like that. But from, crossing paths with Ryan and getting, the introduction to you personally and, starting to carry your boards in the shop, man, it's just been an awesome relationship so far.
Yeah, you made it good. Having retail now is kind of tricky, so I just kind of work with him because I don't want to stock surfboards. And I get guys all the time in Hawaii going, hey, I'm leaving for Tavanura next week. What about your sniper gun? I want to get a Sword one, or I want to get maybe a sniper semi, or maybe one of the, we have like about 7 or 8 models we try to work with and not have everything. He's my shop on wheels, man. We ship all over the world. We started, what was interesting, so I think it was 01, I had a booth all by myself, by the way, at Surf Expo, and I had a bunch of boards there, and I had heard about Trip through Ryan, and we finally got to meet, and I thought you were a little guy, you're a big guy, and we just bonded really well. It was you and who else was with us? There was about 3 of us. It's you guys were late. You were like, fuck, and we got all the boards into board bags. I remember out in the parking lot. You remember that time?
Yeah.
And you picked them all up. Pat, I'll send you a check, and I think we've been rolling ever since then. Really.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we've really enjoyed is like working with you on all these new models.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things we really enjoy about working with you is just you're open to like new ideas and new concepts, but obviously putting your own magic into them. And the first board that we worked with you on was the Impala, and that board was so far ahead of its time. If you think about that, that board came out in, I think it was 08.
Yeah.
08.
Right.
And
financial crisis.
Yeah, and you think about it, back then there was short boards and there was long boards, and I think maybe there was a Lost Rocket.
Yeah,
but there was no other hybrids. Like that was kind of like ahead of its time. My experience, prior to that, I had found that board that I told you about, like under a wooden deck at a hostel in Taranaki, New Zealand. That single fin with it was the old GNS, and like I wanted that board just flowed all over the wave compared to my short boards and just had this glide and everything. And I came back, I had that when we started working on that Impala, I was like, hey, I want to bring that board into like a multi-fin, like hybrid style board. Right. And, we ended up throwing the Impala name on it. And, the relationship as far as like doing like that work together on new models, like that all sort of just took off from there.
Yeah, you get around people when you're a creative like I am. I'm not necessarily, sometimes I am really free thinking and I know how to do that, but a lot of times we get locked up and you get around other people. Like Chip is a creative like I am, but he's also a businessman. So it's like getting both, on my right side of my brain is like this guy, it's like, can lift 5,000 pounds, and then the other side's like this little 90-pound weakling. So I try to identify with people that actually have both of that balance. What I felt like is we both, like Matt Biola's Mam's been a friend of mine since he started shaping. I let him use my room, and he really wanted me to come to his factory, and he was just going to do Rawsons, and it was perfect because my San Diego thing kind of went up in flames through the financial crisis. So actually we got started before that, but they were falling apart, and Matt called me. He says, hey, if you want me to facilitate for you, it won't be a lost Rawson. We can do a few of those, but we could do like we're doing with MR, who's been with them for really a long time. And it worked great. I enjoyed it. Matt goes, you know what? You got to combine one of your short boards with kind of these eggy round things that they do in San Diego and come up with something sexy that we can market. And that's when I called you. I said, so I have an idea. I'd already designed the board, made one for Matt and a couple of his riders. They loved them. I said, what do we call this thing? Because I didn't even have a name. And you go, I remember it was on the phone. You go, why don't we call it the Impala? I went, Impala. Why not? There's a Chevy Impala, that was an insane model and a great car. And, about 2 or 3 years later, I was in a surf shop and I was watching these 20-year-old guys, and they come in and they were looking at some other board and they go, yeah, that's like one of those Impalas. So, you know, the name recognition
Yeah.
is so important in a model.
Yeah.
And then keeping, like, I know that I have too many models, but really, I think you and I do about 7 that are pretty, I mean, we do a couple longboards that are good, but we did really well with the Cheater 5, which was just like bringing sand to the beach. It was just perfect because we needed a mid-length and we wanted a Rawson, and we do those really nice glass jobs and stuff. And then, you know, like the Nova, the Kailua, those are models that people love, and not too many people can shape a Kailua. You know, that was a 1973-74 design that just, I kept little tweaking so it looked prettier, but
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I think what people are so impressed about in the Kailua, I mean, obviously it looks gorgeous, you know, but and especially when you drop like a Moonlight glass job on it, or one of Otis's, or one of Jack Reed's glass jobs on it. But the speed and the momentum that board carries on waves, I think that's like kind of what blows people away. You know, they kind of think, oh, this is like a wall hanger until they surf it.
Well,
and
they don't
then
have to
they're
be
just,
big
like, shocked.
and thick. Like your board was probably what, about 44 cubes and like 20 and a quarter, 20 and a half, like 6'5" or 6, I think.
6'6",
because you're a bigger guy, right? And what I found with people is these guys the last 20 years grew up on surfboards that were like this. You know, you're just literally trying to climb up to and you know, they push water, but as soon as you get going, they go. When you get on a Kailua, you're on ice skates. You can just like do whatever you want and close your eyes and just go whee.
Right.
Or you can get radical and get more on the tail and hit the lip. And the rocker's good enough that you can fit tight maneuvers, but people just love them. That's been really a popular.
So that Impala project was cool. I mean, just because, I mean, that first Impala came out, that thing did really well, and it's still doing really well.
Yeah, it's still there.
You know, and then there was the Impala SS, and you know, Tom Carroll's like Impala Step Up, like that 6'6".
Yeah, he's got a bunch of them.
Yeah, that was
his
boardroom
board.
show. Yeah.
Yeah, that was his personal board, and he was going to grab it because he had broke the other one in Hawaii. And I said, well, I have one. Maybe we can use it in the contest. And then you got it and stuff. Well, he couldn't come. Australia is totally locked down. And I thought, you know, that would be a good board to compete with because I wanted 2 of Tom's and 1 of somebody else. I didn't just want to go, yeah, here's an Impala, we'll just do this. Alan Sarlo's board, same deal. And very, very unique and really hard to shape. And, you know, having Timmy and Ryan Birch in the finals, that was a pretty epic moment. But all those models come from people that do the marketing, and that's where Trip's been good too, is I get people calling all around the world going, hey, I was looking at Reel. I really like their videos. It's like they really do a good job of your brand, and you do that with everybody. It kind of turns into an instant seller after you've done your little, you know, with your magic wand and stuff. I mean, all of them, they've all been good, and plus the feedback. You got to have retail feedback, or you're going the wrong way.
So let's talk about the next model that we worked on, the Sniper. So, you know, we had the Impala and all the different derivatives of the Impala, and then we were doing that trip, you know, to Hawaii with Quicksilver. You know, we got up with you and said, hey, like, can you make us some boards? We want some boards from Hawaii. We want it to be like the Impala, but we kind of want to mix the Impala with the Hyper Classic, like your world famous like travel board that everybody was using. And, you know, can you do that? And you're like, yeah, sure. Let's just stretch it out. Let's thin it out. Let's give it a little bit more rocker and make this thing a little bit racier. And, you know, myself, Matt, Tommy, like we swing by your house, like we pick up that, you know, first quiver.
Yeah.
And I don't even think we had a name for it yet.
We didn't.
We didn't, you know, and then actually one of our friends from the Outer Banks, Rusty, ends up coming up with the Sniper name. And then, you know, then that's actually a model that we're still, you know, stocking and selling, and that board's jamming.
We do really good. You order at least 15 to 20 every order. And you know, the problem that we're all facing is we really have a hard time getting raw materials. There's a lot of material shortages of certain things, and we're over capacity. So, I mean, all you guys that like want to get a custom board or order board, if you can get one from Trip, you bypass all that. You got one waiting for you. The prices are the same. But it's getting harder and harder to stock you with boards, and I'm still trying to figure a way how I can get, in Hawaii, I need 25 boards a week last, and I can go maybe half of that if I'm with Jack helping me, you know. So there's going to be some really, everybody's going to have to pay a little more, they're going to have to wait a little longer, and I think the guys like him, we planned this thing way before COVID really got going, you know. You took the leap of faith and got your orders in before everybody else realized this thing was going to go off.
Right.
And now with Italo and Carissa, you know, we got 2.5 million last year. Probably by the end of the year, we were probably 2.5 million more surfers because of COVID. I bet we have easily added another 1.5 with the Olympics and all this more COVID, right? Because surfing, you just go out there. You feel like you've been to, I call it surf church. You go out there, some people go to the bar. That's fine too, but I think going to the water first and just coming out and feeling it, then go to the bar. You know, you're going to
Yeah.
have double the fun, right?
Exactly. Right.
Meet the chick of your dreams, whatever, because you just feel good. And that's what I like about what I do. I'm making a product that people going out and they can enjoy it and just be stoked. And I love that. I'm really happy I do that.
So after the Sniper, you know, I would say, you know, even to date now, like the thing that we've been working with you on is, you know, the evolution of the Sniper and the Sniper gun. Mm-hmm. And one of the, you know, the reason that we came to you with that is, you know, I have been surfing like a lot of like high performance longboards, and then also like kind of more specialized like bigger wave longboards, and
You
then
like,
some.
you
And
like the surfing.
I like, yeah, I like the bigger waves, and I'm not like kind of intimidated by bigger boards at all. Like the length of, like sometimes if you're just a short boarder, you get on a longboard, you're like, whoa, this is kind of not my style. But I mean, the reason that I kept going back to those longboards versus the guns, where every gun I got was like too narrow, too thin, too rockered out up front, and like I just didn't feel the confidence that I needed, like in that bigger surf, like as far as like paddle power and positioning and wave catching, and also just the pushback, you know, on the board. Yeah. And that's where we came to you on, you know, on the Sniper gun, right. You know, on getting that first board, like that 910 that you made me. You know, that was.
I remember that board.
Yeah, and that was after a trip. You know, I went down to Puerto Rico with one of my other guns, and for a really big swell, and I just got my ass handed to me. Like it just wasn't enough board, you know? Yeah. And I was like, that is never gonna happen again. And I started contacting you like on the trip home.
Yeah.
And we made that first 910, and then we actually didn't have a good swell for a bit. Like I sat on that board.
Never got to ride it. Yeah.
I sat on that board for a while until that really big swell, that January swell at Wilderness, which I think still to date is like probably one of the biggest swells that they've had there. Let's talk about that board a little bit, like that Sniper gun, and like kind of how that was different than what was going on now, and kind of, I don't know, like I think it was like kind of one of the first like wider, thicker, flatter, you know, guns like on the market then.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, I've been feeling a shift for about 15 years, and I work with Larry Maybill in San Diego, and Skip Fry's a good friend of mine. I always have respected Skip, and I kept saying, you know, this thing's going to come back right to you guys of being able to be really good with the planer. Skip's got really defined models. Laramo's got really defined models, and I came back to Hawaii probably around 02, 04. I kept telling Grubby, I said, we need thicker blanks, so I made the 82A, the 93A. And he didn't want to do the guns right away, and then he changed his factory. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, we had to make our own foam, and we had to use U.S. blanks, and they had a lot of challenges. But what's happening in our universe now for blanks is the three companies are supplying. They're all really good. U.S. is definitely super professional. Mm-hmm. You know, guys like Chris said they want to get a close to our blanks so their pre-shapes fit. You got to go with U.S. The Arctics are really good. They shape well. They're strong. I've been using a lot of them in Hawaii because U.S., it's just hard to get boards out of Long Beach. And mm-hmm. Arctic is down in Mexico. They just go right out, and we have our own terminal in Hawaii. Right. So we don't have boats out in the water. There's 75 boats out in the middle of the channel. If you guys go north, look out there. It looks like a flotilla. Right. So, you know, people in Hawaii.
They look like islands, actually.
Well, yeah. So we're waiting. That's for product to come to California. And then there's a lot of stuff that has to come here and go back to Hawaii. And so Costco's smart. They got all their shit coming direct. But yeah, it's a real interesting time period. I think people are permanently scarred. And I think, you know, making models of surfboards, we were ahead of the curve with a Sniper gun, and we have also the Cheetah 5 gun. They're just good boards for guys that are a little bigger and a little older, like even a guy like Poncho Sullivan. I mean, he's older, he rides more volume, and Jeff Bushman's a good friend of mine. We talk a lot about the way the trends change, less nose rocker, more thickness forward, boards that have momentum. So now the surfing you're watching, they're doing the same moves, but they're doing it with more speed, more commitment. Right, right. And I think surfing's gotten a lot more graceful. I mean, there's a lot of acrobats. Like Italo just blows my mind how fast he is. And I mean, I've met him with Timmy and stuff, and Timmy's making these little ice skates that just go 100 miles an hour. And that guy in one wave might do 7 or 8 errors. Yeah. I can't believe he can stay out for an hour. I mean, I would be exhausted after the first wave. Yeah, the way he surfs, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's what that need was. It's just a Sniper gun being a little bit more bored for a good surfer or a great surfer, either one, or a beginner, but to be able to get out and ride a 15-foot wave and experience it and not be afraid. Yeah, yeah, to have confidence. To have the confidence. Yeah, that's what I think my brand's known for, is especially for big wave boards. Is they go, yeah, you won't get a bad one. You might need one that has more of a tail rocker or fuller rail. That's all easy to do, but just knowing you're going to go out and you got the right shit is really important for big wave riding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's like, a lot of the people that are out there running that bigger stuff, they're more experienced surfers, they're more mature, and they're looking for a little bit bigger board. They may not be a pro level surfer that's going from a 6-foot potato chip to a 9.6 potato chip.
Yeah.
They want to have a fuller board. They want to have a little bit more width and a little bit more thickness, and just having the thing be a paddle beast. Because the thing that what a lot of people don't know is, especially if you haven't been out there, is that if you miss the wave, there's a really high chance that the wave behind you is going to smoke you.
Well, yeah, and plus you missed the wave. Why do that? Why put yourself on the slow lane on the freeway when the inside lane is going 3 times faster? You just got to pick the right lane, right?
Yeah.
Or the right board model in this case.
Exactly, yeah.
And match it to the spot. Like Tress is a lot different than like if you're going to go out at Mavs. I think the sniper guns work okay on that kind of wave too. What I do though is I just go a little longer with a little more tail rocker so it can, because it needs to fit the wave without broaching. Whereas I think, this is just from talking to Ricky Carroll, I've never surfed Tres Palmas, but it sounds like it's a pretty even wave. Pico Alto's like that in Peru.
Right.
You just need a big enough board to kind of get going fast enough so you're not like hanging at the top in this airborne drop thing. I think after that, it just got to maneuver and fit the wave good. And the sniper guns do maneuver pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For how straight they are, I mean, compared to a quote-unquote contemporary gun, I think people put V-back under their boards and they go, wow, I can project all the way out or I can go straight up. And, the V-bottom's important. It's not something we're done with, it's come back.
No, those boards are great. I mean, like, once you get onto the part of trace that allows you to start doing turns, I mean, like the 910 and the 10.5.
You have rode that 10.5?
Oh, yeah, the 10.5 and the 11.0. I mean, all of those things.
Are they pretty good, much same family kind of shit?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, for sure.
That's important.
And it's, I mean, they're fun. Obviously they're not going to turn like a 6.6 or a 7.0, but, you could actually start, doing some good, fun turns on that thing once the, wave opens up onto the turn section. So
we have a place called Camis, and Camis is not the best wave on the North Shore, but what it's really good for, it's kind of a wave that comes in at an angle and it kind of goes, and it's like a wave you could actually ride a 9.6 gun on, and kind of ride it like a longboard, but you can get your foot dents in the right spot. Because when you're out at Waimea, or you're out at Revelations, or you're out at Phantoms, it's like, it's nice to have some dents, so you just know that's the spot.
Yeah.
A new board, you're never sure. You're just going to go out and feel it out.
No, it's great. I mean, I did that with my 10.5 and I did that with my 11.0. I just took it out right in back of our house on the northwest corner of Puerto Rico and just rode, whatever, like head high waves with it, just to get a feeling like paddling it, sitting on the thing, whipping it around, paddling for a wave, like dropping in on a wave, like where your feet going to be.
You played baseball?
When I was younger, yeah.
Yeah, so I did for a while until I got hit in the nose like John's kid, and that was it. But you'd always grab 2 bats when you went up. Why? Because finally when you're done doing this with 2 bats, you picked up one and you felt like Paul Revere or something. You could fucking smash it. And seriously, I think surfers are realizing longer boards are great to ride. We have a lot of people at foil in Hawaii. I don't know so much here how foiling is. I suspect it's pretty big, but one of the secrets, Kai Lenny's a pretty good friend of mine. He's got a shitload of my boards, and what I liked about his thing was he goes, well, I foil every day, but I also just paddle surf on my little board, or I might ride this, and he doesn't get stuck on any one thing. And I think when you're young, especially, man, just try everything and use all of it to build your muscles, and you'll find a sense of where you belong in it all. I mean, maybe you are a foiler, but I think when you do a lot of it, it's going to make you better all around. Yeah,
no, there's things you can pull from all these different sports that are going to help you when you're in the moment in one of them.
And they got it all. Reel's got the shit from A to Z, except for paddle boards. You don't do paddle boards anymore.
Stand-up paddle boards?
Yeah.
No.
You do regular open ocean though, right?
We'll do those. The paddle boards, no, we've been clean for a bit
Sup
now.
really went, I think when foiling became, it's just not the market, like foiling, it's just they always have a shelf life, but for some reason surfing has always had these oscillations. Now we're going, and I don't think it's going to slow down. I think this is sustainable to when I'm going to be too old to shape, and I don't know when that is, but I know Brewer now. Brewer now can't shape. He's not going to shape.
You only seem to be getting healthier the whole time I've known you.
Yeah, I mean, I
think you can.
I'm 67 going on 40. I mean, I really feel good.
With modern medicine and the amount of money that's available today, I don't think there's any reason you can't shape until 145.
Functional medicine, CBD. I mean, I have people that come to me, they have depression. Like, I'm really interested. I want to work with a pharmaceutical company, but microdosing psilocybin. If you take psilocybin, you're going to be loaded, but you have little grains of sand of it, and you sprinkle, it gets rid of depression with no side effects. You know, if you're a depression person, you might be on lithium, or you might be on a soft one like Celesta. You know, Celesta's got side effects too, and you don't want that shit. Surfing has 0 side effects except for the girlfriend. Or the wife, yeah. Or,
if you surf too well, all the girls waiting on the beach.
I mean, but men need to do men's sports, and
yeah.
I mean, my wife has her shit she likes, and you know, we're all going to be different. But I think when you have things like a surfboard, it's so organic to get out in the water.
Yeah.
So I love what I do because of that, and I just enjoy it anyway. I just listen to jazz. I work 2 hours a day. I can do 3 boards, and I'm done. I go to sleep, and I sleep like a baby.
Perfect. Well, hey, Pat, thank you so much for spending the time with us, and obviously thank you for all my own boards and all of our good times together, man. It means so much to me.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
the support. You got to have people like this, man. Check them out. It's a good thing.